You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome. This is one of my favorite days of the week. Why? Because it's Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. It's all about dating. We have so many laughs on this show, and I'm glad that you're joining us today. I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I am a certified life, career, yoga, and meditation coach. And I'm thrilled that my friend and co-host, Lisa Manyoky, is with us today. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Hey, how are you?
You're looking all bright and chipper and got this glow going. What's happening?
It must be the light. Oh, I think it's the lipstick. Check out, Fredo. We have listeners, but the lipstick is really red today.
Yes, it is.
Oh, no, it's a little bit too much.
No, it looks good. So what's color? What shade of red is it?
I don't know. I have no idea. Chili pepper.
Okay. It could be anything.
I think the people who come up with colors for nail polish and cars sit around the table, have a few beers, and say, what obscure shade of red can we come up with, right? And lipstick, right?
It is. It's amazing. The names. It's crazy, but it's looking really good on you. So we've got a special guest who's joining us today from Florida, which is exciting. And her name is Kristi Price. But before we bring her out, I always like for you to share what it is that you're doing over at Presence Intelligence. So do tell.
Okay, so yesterday I got a note from a guy who said, if we were to ever date, I'd ask you to grow your hair long because I prefer long hair and all men love long hair. And if they tell you they don't, then they're not telling the truth. And I said, I look terrible in long hair and I'm keeping it short. And some men like a woman in short hair, period. Well, Presence Intelligence was my ability to say, sorry, dude, you're wrong. I'm going to do what I know is best for me, and what I've experienced is ideal. It's really the ability to align who you are on the inside with what you project on the outside, but with confidence and no regret.
I like it. Thank you. And by the way, that's a really good story. I've always thought that all men like long hair too. And my hair was really long. We look at some of these things from August, and I had pretty long hair. And then I just got up one night and decided to cut it. But I can't wait for it to get long because I feel like I like it better. And I love the fact that you like your hair shorter. So
it doesn't look good long. I don't have thick, beautiful hair. It's stringy when it's long. So this is my cut. It works for me. It took me a long time to find it. So it's kind of sassy. So it suits me. But I'm
sassy. It is.
Sassy.
Yes.
Sassy. So like I am, right? But, I know what works for me at this point. I've tried all the experiments. And remember when we were kids, you can get a permanent?
Yes.
Permanence? That was
of course. I have a funny picture I'm going to show you sometime. But yes. So I think it's important to have confidence and to believe in yourself, especially when you're dating. So let's bring out the expert in this area, Kristi Price. She joins us today from West Palm Beach. Hi, Kristi.
Hi, Kristi.
Hi. Thank Lisa and Dr. Jacalyn. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. And you also have a glow about you, and it must feel good to be able to get out. Are you out and about there in Florida?
Yes, it's really nice. I still work in Philadelphia and New Jersey, but I came down here to escape the cold for a little while and also the lockdowns. So it's a little bit nice out here. You can go out and be on the beach and work and do whatever. So I love it.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm happy for you. Can you share with us what was it that inspired you to get involved in the line of work that you're in as a matchmaker and a dating coach?
Yes, for sure. So I got divorced about 15 years ago and was dating like all the wrong people. So I was attracting the narcissist, all that kind of stuff. So I'm a very giving person. And I made a lot of mistakes along the way because I'm very trusting too. So online dating was a little bit of a crazy mess for me in the beginning. So I did a lot of work on myself and started dating better people and kind of attracting the right kind of man. Because I think what you put out, you attract. So I had to work on myself a bit too, as an independent woman that doesn't need a man. So from that, I started helping my girlfriends, kind of like meet better men and look for red flags and that kind of thing. So it was really to help women in the beginning not make the same mistakes I did, because I made some really rough mistakes right after my divorce with the wrong people. And so it was to help others, kind of navigate through dating in a better light, in a better way.
Thank you for sharing that. The beginning part of your story until you got to helping other people with the dating, I actually felt like you were talking about me, because I thought I was the only one who was dating the narcissist, but I guess I didn't own that alone. So I do want to say hello to William Stade, Frank Petrucci, Diali, I'm butchering these names, sorry, Mayhay, and Hussein Hama, and Gordon Irvin. Thank you. Sorry. Okay, we'd love to recognize people who are watching the show. We want to hear from you, right, Kristi? What do you want people to call in or to put comments so that you can answer them?
Oh, yeah. The more comments and questions they have, the better. I'm open to whatever they want to ask me.
Well, I have one just to start.
Yes.
So why don't you tell our listeners and viewers a little bit more about the narcissistic dynamic? Because that's a really common one that sucks people in. And when you're caught up in all the splendor of the beginning, it is a really hard fall. So how do you recognize it, and then how do you get out of it?
Well, in the beginning, as you know, Lisa, most of them will love bomb you. So, it's like you're already in a relationship right from the beginning. You're the best person that they've ever met. You're the one. They're talking about future plans. So anyone that doesn't know you, that's already talking about future plans with you and loving you and everything else, is already a red flag. And sometimes relationships do happen that way. But then what happens is there's a turn, right? And then they start to gaslight you and put you down and make you feel like you've done things wrong. And you start to question yourself, thinking like, what am I doing? And then you sit searching for the person you fell for in the beginning, and they're really not that person. They're a great they'll mask and mirror you. So they learn exactly what you love and what you like to do and all the things you want in a relationship, and they'll actually give it to you, but they can't sustain it. So when the switch flips, you sit there wondering what happened, and you really have to be aware of that. If someone's starting to make you feel like putting you down or being like mean, that type of thing, you have to take heed to that and kind of think about what's really going on.
Well, give us an example of gaslighting.
Gaslighting is when they basically tell you they do something wrong, and they blame it on you or flip the switch, and then they make you feel like you've done something. So that's the main thing. And they make you feel like you are a crazy person, that you don't know what you're talking about, or maybe I did do that and that was hurtful to them. So it makes you start to question yourself and who you are as a person.
It's so
oh boy, do these things resonate with me.
Yeah, we've all been there. And I'm an empath, so I'm really giving, as I'm sure you both are. You're a doctor, we're coaches, we help people. So I'm always looking for the good in people and giving them passes, and that's not always the case. You have to see the red flags.
Yep. And the problem with narcissism is that it's not, the switch doesn't happen instantly. I always compared it to either rust or cancer, where before you know it, there's this slow growing thing, and then suddenly, there's a hole in the side of the car door, and it was going on all the while, but it was little tiny things. They're microscopic, which seem innocuous at the time. Like, that didn't happen. Did it happen? Did it happen? Or didn't it? And back and forth, back and forth. And before you know it, you've lost your self-esteem. You've doubted your own confidence, and you're typically a really strong personality. And I don't mean strong as in problematic, but confident and sure of yourself. Men and women. This is not exclusive to women, but it's a very difficult scenario from which to extract. So how do you get out of that mess?
That's a really good question. So for everyone, I think it's different. Sometimes you wonder, oh, maybe the person had a bad day, or maybe there's something going on in their life, or those types of things. But if it consistently happens, you have to pull away. So the only way to get away, and they'll keep coming back. So what they'll start doing is they'll start love bombing you and making you they'll suck you back in, and then they'll do it again. So when you start seeing that pattern, you just have to cut ties and move on. Like, you can't be friends with that kind of person. It'll never work out, and they'll just take you down with them.
And that is the key.
There it is.
Never works out.
My dad always said a bad penny always turns up. And it's funny because, of course, I'm not mentioning any names to anyone I dated in the past, but they always come back. They always come back. 10 years.
They do. Mm-hmm. And they'll say they've changed. Oh, I've gone to therapy. I've done this and that. You just have to move on and don't get sucked back in.
Well, that's
it
part
will
of the
really
dance.
ruin you.
Yeah, that's just part of it. It's that ping pong, or I call it the boomerang. It's coming right back to you. Do not throw it back.
For sure.
Yeah, I think Kristi just highlighted like the pattern of behavior.
Yeah.
So they give you all the things that you want, they draw you in, and then they start putting you down. And so your confidence, I call it like the shrinking syndrome. Mm-hmm. Like you're confident and strong, and all of a sudden you're getting smaller and small. You don't even know who you are anymore. Yeah.
And if a person, you start feeling anxiety around a person, like you mentioned it, with when they start to put you down, if you have it, I'm an energy person. So if you start feeling that they're draining your energy and that you're like anxious and worried about what you're supposed to say around a person, those are red flags also that you should think of internally. Like, listen to yourself and your own intuition and trust yourself.
So if a person comes to you for coaching, then how can you help them? Because, I think we all should have a coach at some point in our lives, and more than once. So how will you help your clients if they're running into this kind of a scenario?
I help like a mentor, kind of like you said, a coach. So I'll actually help them see the signs as we go through it. So I won't tell them what to do. That's not my job, and I'm not a therapist. But I'll sit there and kind of go through the signs. There's a couple of great books out there. Should I Stay or Should I Go is a great book on narcissism. And you can just list everything you need to know. So, but sometimes when your emotions, when your emotions are involved, it's a lot harder to see those signs and recognize them. So I help them kind of get out of it at the pace that they need to. Not everyone's the same. Some people can just see it and be like, all right, I have to do this. Please stand by me. When they're coming back and trying to pull me back in, help me stay strong. And I just try to help them the best way I can that way. And start to value themselves more. Because it, like you said, Lisa, it really drains your self-esteem and your self-confidence. You start to doubt yourself, especially if you're a really independent woman or man. It happens to men too. Because if you're really good at your job, you start to doubt, and you start down yourself in your personal life. It's really detrimental to you, your overall, I think.
Well, and capable people are prey, actually, because they have resources, typically that might have income, assets, and stability, and the narcissistic personality does not. So they're drawing from you as a source, which keeps them coming back for more, even when you've sent them packing. So it instigates that cycle all over again.
And that's a good point, Lisa. And a lot of these men and women aren't who they say they are. So if you start seeing the signs, really do your research. They claim to be successful. They claim to have all these things, and they really don't. It's a facade.
Yep. Which is very difficult to sustain for the long term. I mean, that's what we talk about with presence intelligence. If you're trying to be someone else, or when we were comparing it last week to masquerade parties and Halloween costumes, when you want to go as a pirate or a villain, you can only do that for a little while. But if you had to do that indefinitely, wow, that would be stressful. And narcissists are the best frauds ever.
And I love that you said that about being yourself. Go ahead. Sorry, John.
I was going to say, I think eventually they get caught. They get, someone catches on to what it is that they're doing. And if only when, like, I know that that's happened to me, and I try to make other people aware that, and I'm glad that's why we're talking about this on the show, because I'm sure there are people out there who are in situations where they really want to meet someone, right? Or maybe they just started seeing someone and the signs are there and they think, I've been alone for so long, I'm just going to overlook this.
And that's sad. So there's the law of scarcity, and there are people out there that are really good people. So I think when you start to think this is the only guy or woman I can get, you start to make exceptions and things like that. So I actually also ask my clients, if they're in that situation, to write a love intention of how you want to feel in a relationship, how you want to be treated in a relationship, so you can start seeing the signs. So even if you're thinking this person's so great on occasion, you should really be aware of how you feel and how they are making you feel when you're around them. So do you really want that, long term?
So so a client can come to you before they're in a relationship or when they're in one. And
Yes.
you can either prime them for it or show them the way if they're in the middle of a mess, right?
Yes, yeah. I help them after divorce. I even work with millennials now who have focused on their career. So we do everything from like image consulting to confidence building, how to date, the art of conversation and flirting, and having fun with it, because dating can be really daunting at times.
Absolutely. I'm in on that. We need to take a break and hear from some of our sponsors. So we're going to start off with Margie Cedrone, who's my own personal jeweler. She does an excellent job. She was in Philadelphia for years, and she's now right over the bridge in Jersey. Let's hear from Margie.
Yeah.
Located at 121 Haddon Avenue in Westmont, New Jersey, is Margie Cedrone, artisan jeweler. Margie's been in business for more than 30 years. She works with her clients to create custom pieces of jewelry to reflect their personality and help them make their own bold statement. Starting in the renowned Jewelers Row in Center City, Philadelphia in 1988, Margie works directly with her clients to develop one-of-a-kind pieces such as necklaces, engagement rings, wedding bands, unique watches and tennis bracelets, as well as a myriad of rings and earrings for everyone in your family. She also has worked directly with Dr. Jacalyn over the years, creating unique pieces of jewelry to reflect her personality. She does pearl stringing and repairs on site at 121 Haddon Avenue. Call or text Margie at 215-384-7155. Margie Cedrone Jewelry is open by appointment only. Make your own bold statement.
I don't think men are superficial idiots, that their brains are wired to be visual. I'm told I give great advice.
Nike Just Do It for exercise, I think really applies to sex too.
I've coached hundreds of men and women.
So I disagree with her where she's like, put it all out there on the first date. You know, an open book is not sexy.
I agree. Do you have relationship questions? Chances are one of my clients or myself or my friends have gone through the same thing, and I already made a video about it. So I invite you to check out my YouTube channel, Donna Barnes. I've made hundreds of advice videos based on real-life experiences so that you can make better choices.
In my upcoming Breakup Recovery Action Plan, there's going to be checklists and quizzes.
Best information that I've ever experienced or acquired. If you're stuck and can't move forward or let go, my action plan is built to help you. Subscribe to my channel. I'll help you have better relationships.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. It's all about dating. I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and with me today is my co-host, Lisa Manyoky, and our special guest, Kristi Price. I want to say hello to Marie McGuire, Cyrus Nero, AJ Cunningham, and Mr. Adibira. Sorry. I tried. Okay, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. So before the break, we were talking about narcissists, and let's kind of go the other way now. So let's talk about when someone comes to you, Kristi, and they truly want to meet someone, and they're looking for a matchmaker. How is that different than someone who wants a dating coach, or is it?
Well, it kind of goes hand in hand. So most of my matchmaking clients I do coaching with as well to make sure that they have the most success. Because there's some reason they may come to me. Maybe they're blocking themselves some way, or maybe they're putting themselves out there in the wrong way, or maybe it's just an energy thing. So when they come to me, we sit down and we go through a litany of questions so I can get to know them of like what they're looking for, their top 3 must-haves, what they're looking for in terms of religion, politics, life goals, relationship goals, all that stuff. And then I actually, I meet with everyone in person too. So I know they look like their photo, whereas online dating, you can get catfished all the time. So from that point, after our initial consultation, then I make the introductions for them. I actually set the dates up for them. We do exit interviews so I can get feedback, so I can do a better job on the next date. Or also maybe they're doing something on the date that's actually preventing them from getting to the second date.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Go ahead, Lisa.
How do you go about deciding who's right for whom? Do you have a database, or do you circulate in the mall? How do you find your people?
Yeah, I hang out in front of Walmart and get all my clients.
Listen, we did have one matchmaker who literally will go into stores and walk up to people and say, "Are you single?" So I'm not kidding. How do you do it?
Yeah, that's true, because I am always on duty. So if I see someone that's interesting at a coffee shop or wherever, I will walk up to them. So some matchmakers will troll online dating sites for people, for their clients, which is fine. That's just not what we do. So we do everything organically. So it's either, like you said, in person, or through LinkedIn or Facebook or a friend of a friend. I also have recruiters out there too. So I have a huge database already, but I'm always adding more people to the database so I can get the best matches for my clients.
So do you choose to put them in the database, or can they just sign up to be part of it?
They can sign up. So if they go to my website, there's join our free database. So you can be in my database for free. So for me, with all the clients that I work with, they hire me to find the best match, and that could be another client or someone that's in my database for free, or someone who we recruit. Either way, we interview all of them before we actually introduce them. But yes, there's a free database anyone can join. That's a great question.
Great. I mean, I think some people are very particular. Some of the matchmakers we've spoken with have a system where they vet people to put into the database, or they have to pay to be part of it. But my feeling is, if you're looking wherever for the wider net you cast, you're going to vet them anyway. So you might as well. You're asking them very specific questions for them to be part of the database, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So they go through the same screening process that my clients do so I make sure they're aligned with their life and relationships goals. So, someone's very athletic and active, someone that's really likes just to hang out as a homebody. It depends on what their kind of lifestyle is. That's important. So, and I know a lot of matchmakers will only introduce paying clients, but I don't think that's the best model, at least not for my clients. I want to find the best match for them, whether it's a free database member or someone recruited or someone that could be paying, but that's not necessarily the case. Plus, I only work with 20 people at a time. So I can't, because it's a very much a hands-on experience. So I really get to know my clients through the process, and that's why our success rates are high.
How long do they typically work with you?
It depends on the client. Usually at least 6 months to a year, because it takes a while to get the right match, and I can't predict chemistry either.
Yes, chemistry. That's a big one. Before we go there, I just want to say to people listening on the radio, if you're at your device, please make note of Kristi's website. It's www.kristi, KRISTI_DPRICE.com, KristiDprice.com. Okay, let's talk a little bit about chemistry. Okay, we always ask this on the show. How do you feel, Kristi, if someone tells you, you fix them up and they tell you there's no chemistry on the first date, I'm not going out on another date? What do you say?
So I prep my clients that that's, for lack of a better word, ridiculous. Because I mean, I think the media has basically taught us that if you don't have the spark and the butterflies, like right off the bat, it's not a match, which is absurd. That's just chemistry. That's just sex drive, right? So if you want to find the best person, I tell my clients, if you had a good time on the date, and you're just not sure about the chemistry because maybe they had an off night or maybe you just don't know, give it 2 or 3 more dates, because that chemistry can grow as you get to know somebody and build rapport with that person.
So just to clarify, if you're not sitting there across the table thinking like, oh my gosh, I just want to jump this person, that's okay.
Totally is okay. Yeah.
Okay. I got
What if you're sitting across from the table and you say, oh my gosh, I will never jump that person?
That's a different story. Yeah. If you're like totally turned off and you're like, oh, I couldn't even see kissing this person, right, then it's not a match. Yeah. Or if the conversation is just dragging out and you're just like looking at your watch, don't go out again. But if you had a good time and you're like, oh, he's kind of cute or she's kind of cute, why not give it a second chance?
Now, what conversation's going well and there might be a little chemistry, but the way that they present themselves, what they're wearing is just not a good fit for you? You know what I'm saying? Like you dress this way and they're dressed another way. You're thinking, could I ever be on that person's arm? I don't think so. Can you, in your mind, can you do a whole reboot for them?
I try to. And I also, before my clients go out on a date, we do a little image consulting. So I'll have them send me like screenshots of their outfits and things like that. So I help them prepare on what to wear. And I also give suggestions to the people that they meet. So, and I also say if something does happen, they showed up like not looking how my client would want them to look, that's something that's easily fixed. If everything else was aligned and they just didn't dress the part, then that shouldn't be a deal breaker.
All right. I like it. What do you think, Lise?
You know that commercial? And you look comfortable, you know, the guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. T-shirt.
Pre-COVID, I went out with somebody, or it was just as COVID was hitting, and he said, wow, I guess I underdressed something, didn't you think? I mean, it was one of those collars. And I thought, what would make anybody stand in front of the mirror and say, wow, you know, this mess that I've got on looks fantastic. This is the first time somebody's going to see me and I'm going to choose to wear this. And I thought, I don't get it. So yeah, I understand that it's fixable, but do you think that says a lot about the person, that this is the first impression that they've tried to make and that's how hard they tried? Do you think?
I think some men especially don't know how to dress so I think I hear what you're saying for sure. You're like, oh, I put all this effort in, especially as a woman, to go out and look nice. And you're like, and that's all you have to offer? But I work with a lot of men that just, especially if they've been married for 20 or 30 years, you know, and even women, they get lazy about how they look or, you know, because they got comfortable. So they don't know how to date or how to show up on the date. So I think, is it being lazy or is it just them not being aware of how they should be dressing for a date?
All right. That's a really good distinction because I think in this case, this was somebody who just didn't know. But I've known others that I thought, you know, and this is what you did. Bye-bye. And it's not just about clothing. It's really about the effort and the initiative. And I mean, you know, we talk about love languages too. Some people see the world visually. They have an idea. Got to like the view. I know Jacalyn, we were talking about this last show. She likes a man's hands. I'm still trying to figure out what you're talking about, Jacalyn.
Because these hands are going to touch you. They're going to be touching you. If they're like fingers that you don't, I don't know, like I just like a certain type of hand. I know it sounds crazy. Like a well-groomed, you know, nails are manicured, the skin is nice, and I like this part to be a little wider. I always look at a guy's hands. I don't know, because they're the hands that are going to be touching me. And if I don't like the way they look, I don't want them on me. Which explains why I'm alone all the time.
No. What about feet? I mean, footwear. Footwear says a lot.
Oh, if a guy shows up with white sneakers, what do you guys think of that?
No, I think blue ones with a lime green stripe are worse.
Yeah.
Suede.
I just want to share, what about when they're wearing flip-flops and they've got like unattractive toes, toe jams, hairs? I can't go.
So that's hygiene. I think that's hygiene. So that's a different story. If they don't have good hygiene and they have nose hair sticking out and they're not caring for themselves, you don't know what else is going on underneath there. So I run.
Right. So funny. Oh my gosh, we could go on and on about stories, personal stories that would just be hilarious, I'm sure. But let's stick to the business side of it. So for matchmaking, do you work with people I know you're Philadelphia, New Jersey, but are you able or interested in making connections outside of the area, the local area?
Yeah, so I work in Philadelphia, like Eastern PA, New Jersey, Delaware, and then South Florida, so West Palm Beach area. So I have people down here too. And then if they're out of the territory, I'll coach people anywhere. But if they may want matchmaking in Texas or LA or things, I think I do a better job by referring them to matchmakers that I trust that are in those areas. Now, some people want to work just with me, and in that case, I can collaborate with other matchmakers in any other state and country, actually. So I can pull that off. So I give them the option. If they want to work with me, I can do that and collaborate with other matchmakers, or I can refer them to a matchmaker in the state of choice. My databases are in basically Philadelphia areas and surrounding areas, New Jersey, Delaware, and South Florida, in the Palm Beach County area. So, but I do collaborate with other matchmakers, so I can do the best thing for my clients.
I think that's
recruiters, right? So how do you use recruiters though?
I pay recruiters. I pay commissions. So I have recruiters out there. They may have different networks of people. So I reach out to a lot of people that way. So they might know someone that I don't know. So I pay referral fees. So that helps add to my database of good people. Yeah. So I work with active, positive-minded professionals of all ages. That's pretty much my niche.
I think it's really smart that you work in the South Florida area where you are, because so many people from the North go to the South and then they come back, and that seems like a great alliance. So kudos to you for doing that. That's fabulous.
Thank you. And some of my clients are open to dating in other states, so or coming back and forth. So it works out well for my clients as well.
Well, it's time to take another break and hear from our sponsors. So stay with us on It's All About Dating with Lisa Manyoky, my co-host, and our special guest, Kristi Price. We will be right back.
When all my broken sneakers started to pile up in the wardrobe, I realized that we have a problem. Sneakers are made from plastics, and plastic is not mendable. My name is Philip, and I'm one of the founders of Our Choice Fashion. How many times did this happen to you? How can eco sneakers save the world when they break after only a few months and we have to buy pair after pair that breaks? We are here to give you the solution, a choice for truly sustainable fashion in the world's first circular sneakers. On average, we all buy 3 pairs of sneakers each and every year. This adds up to 25 billion sneakers per year, of which most end up in landfills. This adds up to 350 million tons of CO2 emissions, the same amount as for the country of Italy or the state of California. So we started to develop a product that would have all the old-fashioned qualities. It is mendable, it has a classic design, and it has a natural comfort. Because we chose the best designer there is, Mother Nature. The sneakers get more and more comfortable the more you wear them. Made from vegetable tan leather and natural latex from the rubber tree, the sneakers are both sustainable and comfortable. These sneakers are made from pure raw materials that are both fully biodegradable and fully recyclable. The best thing here really is that when your sneakers need an upgrade, you just send them right back to us using the same bag that you got them delivered in. We then resole your sneakers, put on a fresh pair of laces, and give them a nice new polish. This means that you can wear your sneakers for many years to come. Our sneakers are more than sneakers. They are a circular function, and we developed a smart pull for you to step into your sneakers without stepping down the heel. This means that you get a truly sustainable grip. We've got a fully circular business model, and that's why we'll only produce sneakers on your demand. Book your product now and get that sustainable grip at a discount. We've been on this amazing journey for 2 years, and now we're inviting you to also make a choice for truly sustainable fashion. Try the world's first circular sneakers, 100% plastic free, and I can promise you that our choice will be your companion for many years to come.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diane Boehm. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diane Floyd Boehm tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diane's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diane's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diane's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diane's delightful books and much more at DianeFloydBoehm.com. Visit DianeFloydBoehm.com. That's DianeFloydBoehm.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. It's all about dating. We are live streaming here on Business Talk Radio. As always, we have our own channel. You can find us here 24/7, businesstalkradio1.com. Go to studio Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. I want to say hello to Jay Dawson, Ian Morris, Siaka Sawa, and Rosario Kelvin. Welcome back, Lisa Manyoky and Kristi Price. Thanks for staying around during the break.
Thanks. Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead, Lisa, you're going to say something?
Yeah, Kristi, I have a question now about this time of COVID. How has your business changed since so many restrictions have been put into place?
Yeah, it's changed quite a bit. In fact, I think one thing is because online dating is even more saturated than ever. So you get more scammers, more people that are in relationships they're not happy with, that are online looking for validation or that type of thing. So, and for that reason, I've had a lot more people, especially 20 and 30-year-olds even, that have come to me for help because they don't, online dating is a full-time job. It can get very discouraging because people will ghost you or they don't get back to you. It's a lot of work. And then you don't know for sure if the other person has the same intentions that you do. So the matchmaking has really gone up for that reason in terms of helping people find love. And then also it's changed in terms of how people meet. So a lot of people, are they comfortable meeting in person and social distancing? Would they rather do a video date first? So that's something that's changed a lot. Before I used to always just do in-person dates. Because of COVID this last year, we've had to be careful, and depending on the person's threshold, how do they want to meet people?
I was just going to ask you, Are people more receptive to having several dates on Zoom or some kind of platform before meeting in person?
Most of my clients want to meet in person. So they would rather meet outside for a walk, or sit at a park bench or picnic table, or do something active outside. Some of them are fine meeting in a restaurant too and meeting people. Some of them would rather do a Zoom date first and then go to the date. But they don't really, Zoom, it's hard to really create that chemistry. And by chemistry, I don't mean that spark when you first meet somebody, but you can get to know a person through the video, but to be around a person's energy is a whole different ballgame. So I think that maybe one Zoom date, and then if you're comfortable, then you can just meet them in person to kind of pull the trigger and see if there's any connection.
Tell us more about your position on the energy piece, because you're one of the first people who's really brought that up pretty consistently. Tell us more.
I think, I work with a positive-minded, active singles. So a person's energy really exudes when you meet them in person. You can see it a little bit on video, but it's also about, first impressions. So when you come into the date, come as your best self. You've already got the date, make sure you're confident and you're happy. So I think that's very important. So if you come after a bad day and you can't get out of your head and you're just negative and you're dragging the person down, that energy will drag the other person down with you, and you're never going to get to a second date unless the other person's really negative too and you connect on that level. So that's what I kind of mean about energy. And then in terms of meeting in person, there are the pheromones and things like that, and just building rapport, that and your body language that you can see. Like, you can see me flailing my hands here, but there are other pieces of your body language that you can't see when you Zoom. So meeting in person, I think, is important too, to get a person's energy that way as well. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I mean, vibe to me is really important, professionally, personally, dating wise, in any, even as parents. I mean, we know when your kid comes downstairs and steps into the room and he or she's in a bad mood, everybody feels it. Same way with if you're a couple, whether you're married, in a relationship, or just meeting somebody new. I think it's really important to get a good sense for, what am I putting out there that people can't see, but they're going to notice.
For sure. And I work with people on that, with confidence building. It sounds like you both maybe are spiritual too. It's about writing down something every three to five things every morning that you're grateful for. Take a moment to be thankful for what you have now. I think that's so important. Doing affirmations, those types of things to get your energy up, because it crosses over, like you said, Lisa, in all areas of your life, even business. No one wants to work with someone that's going to drag their energy down and isn't fun to work with.
Now, what do you say to the person who says, "Oh, writing down gratitude stuff, that's nonsense. That doesn't work"? How would you explain that it does?
I basically go through, and there's science behind it, that it actually changes the neural pathways and the chemistry, as you both are shaking, especially even if you're doing mirror affirmations. Like, that's something that's proven that it actually works. So I tell them to give it a shot, and if you give it 2 weeks, if you're not feeling better, then you don't have to do it anymore. But I ask them to please give it a shot. And most of them come back to me and like, that's amazing. It really is making me feel better. I'm getting out of my funk and feeling more positive.
And writing it down is really important. Thinking it is one thing, but the more senses you use in writing it on paper. I always say, when you put something in print, it gives it a shape and a form, and it becomes a lot more tangible than if you're just thinking it up. And that has weight. It feeds into a better opportunity, a better relationship, better rapport. I mean, it's a good thing.
Better you.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. And writing it down, your brain absorbs it more. It kind of sees it in writing. There's something behind that too, which you may know. I just can't remember what.
Before bed, go to bed, make your big ask, so that your brain is doing its homework while you sleep. I mean, look, there was a time when I would have called this my irreverent term, hokey pokey voodoo magic, which I've said, I have martial arts training for a long time, and my instructor used to smack me on the back and then prove me wrong, which gave him great pleasure. And for me, I was like, all right, I get it. But it's a huge contributor to a relationship, no matter what kind you have, and very relevant to matchmaking and dating. And even for the people who are looking for a coach, you need to fit with them and they need to fit with you. So what kind of a person, other than positive minded, who's your preference? I mean, is there a certain age group, or are you whoever?
No, I work with all ages, 20s to 60s or whatever. So for me, it's just about that they're open-minded to trying new things, and they want to make a change in their life. So if a person's like you said, like, no, that's not going to work, I don't believe it, that's not my guy or girl. They have to be like, all right, I want to make a change in my life. I'm willing to do the homework. So I can give them all the tools in the world to, get out of their comfort zone and basically, meet their goals. But if they're not going to do the work, I can't help them.
And that's really
Don't you
smart,
agree?
because if you give them the tools and they don't use them, who are they going to blame? They're going to say, Kristi thinks at her job. So you have to be just as cautious of choosing your clients as they have to be in choosing you as their partner.
Yeah, I think that's so important because our name is our brand. And if we choose the wrong clients, it will just come back to haunt us.
Right.
And also, it's a lot of work. Like, I mean, we're coaching others, we're helping others. It kind of takes our energy down. So if you get the wrong client as well, it's going to detract from the other clients that you could really do a better job for.
Definitely.
Very good points. Yes. I'm wondering if someone comes to you and they share with you what their experience has been, and I've been with this narcissist or that person or this person, and then you find some matches for them and they're starting to go back every time to this, oh, this isn't the right guy for me, even though very well might be the right guy, but they're so used to being broken that they need that brokenness. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, yeah. So what happens then? You have to coach them.
Yeah, I'll go back and start coaching them again. Like what makes you feel that your value is so low? I might not, depending on the client, I might not say it that way. It might be a little bit more sugar-coated, that you deserve this. Like, you're taking scraps. When you're meeting great people that are treating you well, what makes you feel that you don't deserve to be treated better? So, and there are a lot more ways I go about that, but really, like, there's something still broken. We need to fix that first. Otherwise, you're going to keep getting into to toxic relationships.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, you shared that you work with your clients different amount of times. It could be 6 months, but from the very beginning, somebody's sitting at home right now, they're going to go to kristidprice.com and they're going to look through your site. What does that process look like for somebody to sign up and then for them to get married, for example?
So they sign up in the database. I do an initial consultation for an hour, and we really define what they're looking for, who they are as a person, value systems, all that kind of stuff. So that's very important that those are aligned: values, lifestyle goals, relationship goals. And then from then we decide if we should work together. So I don't work with everybody, like we talked earlier. I work with people that I know I can help and they trust me. I actually show them profiles of people that I have that are single. So everything's very transparent the way I work. So if we're aligned with how I can help them and I have people that they'd want to meet, then we decide to do matchmaking together. And then from there, we'd first do a photo shoot because, that's your first impression. Even in my business, I do show photos, so I don't blindside people. When they walk into a room, they see a photo of the person they're meeting. And then we do exit interviews. So after each date, I do an exit interview to talk about what they liked, what they didn't like. Do they want to see them again? And that helps me do a better job getting matches moving forward if that person wasn't the one.
That's smart.
I love that. I think that's the first time we've heard anyone talk about doing photo shoots and exit interviews. Isn't it, Lisa?
It is. I was thinking that's the first we've heard of that. So it's so wise. I mean,
I really like your process.
Yeah, it's smart.
Yeah. And I set the dates up too. So I get the first date set up because that's where people start to miscommunicate. Maybe they missed a text and then they start to feel disgruntled. So I get the first date set up so it's done. And then then they meet wherever, someplace convenient for them. And then after I do the exit interview, because that can cause some stress too, just getting that first date set up. So I get that done for them.
How do you pick the place?
Depending, most of the men will go toward the women's location, but some women don't want to be in their location, so maybe they'll meet halfway. And then I'll set up, a dinner date. I used to like to do, drinks and apps, something more lighthearted, but because of COVID, we have to do dinners now, unfortunately. So either it's that or maybe a hike in Valley Forge or some outdoor activity once it gets warmer. But we've kind of been stuck with the whole, restaurant vibe. It's kind of hard to build chemistry at a table when you're sitting across from somebody. So I try to pick places that have like a four-top so they can sit adjacent to each other, depending on their COVID tolerance as well. It's been a little tricky.
Yeah. I know a number of people who during COVID, they've had dates in public, like in outdoor spaces. And one funny story, this girlfriend of mine, she met at a park, and it turns out the guy didn't want to sit on a bench. She wanted to go for a vigorous walk, and she was sweating. Her makeup was running. She was like, oh my gosh, it was not my best moment. I said, well, maybe he did it on purpose to see how you would react if you're spontaneous, if you'd say, hey, that's great, not worrying about your makeup and everything else. But it didn't work out.
I'm surprised if he wasn't like basically thoughtful that she probably had heels on or something else. You want to go for a walk. That's kind of like not really thoughtful as a man either. Like, right? If she's sweating, and she's not having fun. So I would think that too. So I actually had clients doing car dates. You guys heard of a car date? So This is the beginning of COVID. People would come up 6 feet apart from each other and then talk through their windows, which sounds hilarious to me. I never set these up, but when some of my coaching clients told me, we're doing car dates now, I'm like, what is a car date? So people got creative over this time period.
So were there any success stories with the car dates?
No, not that I know of. I didn't set those up. They sounded ridiculous to me. I'm like, seriously? Yeah. And a couple of them were cocktailing. I'm like, you're cocktailing in your car and driving to a date. Doesn't sound very smart to me.
Windows
Those were not. Sorry?
They kept their windows up?
No, they put their windows down when they got there. Yeah. So they would, like a drive-in. It was like a drive-in date. I didn't set those up. Yeah.
Well, now, I think one thing we have to consider, like certain states like Florida and Texas are open. So it's easier to get together. Like Pennsylvania, I don't live in Pennsylvania now, but I think that they were still closed to some degree. Philadelphia was closed for a long time. And I think New Jersey is open somewhat. So I think it's more difficult, right? Depending on what state you're in.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, down in Florida, everything's open. So you pretty much can do whatever you want down here for the most part. And then in Philadelphia and New Jersey, where I was setting up dates, it was mostly all outside for a long time, or Zoom dates for a little while. And then restaurants opened up, because they kind of fluctuate. They opened up and they shut down and all that. So for the most part, my clients were just either doing, when it got colder, just inside restaurant dates if the outside seating was too cold. I would try to find outside seating with the heaters, but not everyone had them.
Yeah, I haven't been in the city since February of last year.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if you know, I belong to the Union League in Philadelphia, and so I'm dying to get back because they're doing some renovations on the rooftop dining amenity. Yeah, so it's going to be pretty cool. But
I was a member there too, and I was so bummed that so it's good that they're doing that. Oh, I froze my membership because of the COVID.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, good.
So that's fun. I'm surprised we never met there.
I know, I am too. It's such a small world. And they just bought Ace Country Club. It's now called Liberty Hill, which is amazing. So anyway, as we digress, but we're Philadelphians at heart, so.
For sure.
So, Kristi, what I wanted to ask you was, there are people out there now who are watching, people who are listening, and they really need some help. Do they start with, you mentioned your process, but do they start with the coaching first? If they're not sure what to do, hire you as a coach first, and then don't put the pressure on themselves to have you as a matchmaker. In other words, don't focus on matchmaking, focus on getting yourself together, getting your image in alignment. Is that where you start as a person watching?
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
Yeah,
so it depends. It depends on the person. Some people have gone through therapy and I feel that they're ready and they're not still beating up their ex and talking about all these things that happened. Like they've actually healed and come to a place that they're ready to do matchmaking. If they're not there, then I'm not doing them a service by having them hire me as a matchmaker. We do coaching first. We do healing, forgiveness, and also figuring out your life. If you've gone through a divorce or a widow, like what's your life look to you now? So a lot of people I talk to, I ask, what do you like to do? And they say, I don't know. So they've had, their whole life has been their children and their marriage. And now it's about finding themselves first and what they love, and then becoming a person, in this new start and then going from there to matchmaking.
Thank you. That's a good clarification. Mm-hmm. We're actually at the top of the hour for our show. So before we close out, Kristi, what final comments do we have from you for our listeners and our viewers?
Well, I think dating, like I said, could be daunting. So whatever you decide to do, whether it's online dating or I can help people coach and kind of navigate on that their own so they can still have fun with online and how to meet people. But there's someone out there, and like as you said earlier, don't come from the law of scarcity and hold on to something that's not right for you, and pay attention to how you feel around a person. Your intuition is usually, and your gut is usually right. So you just go out there, have fun. First impressions are everything. So as we talked about earlier, show up as your best self, having good energy, and also look the part. Don't dress like a slob.
And what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? People listening and people watching?
They can go on my website and you can actually schedule a free 20-minute consultation. So if they have any questions or learn about what I do, or just, have a quick question on their own, they don't really want to work with me yet or whatever. I'm a low pressure person. So they can go to my website, or they can actually call me too. My number's on the website as well, and schedule an appointment. But there's actually a scheduler on my website for them to schedule an appointment as well.
Well, you've made it so easy for people. So I'm hoping that your website's going to be blowing up with all the people contacting you. And I'd love to get together with you when you get back in town. I got both of my vaccines and I'm going out. I think Monday the 12th is my reemergence into the world after being in a lockdown since September. So I'm pretty excited.
Wonderful. Well, This has been wonderful. You both have great energy. Speaking of energy, this has been a fun experience. So
we have a lot of fun on this show.
Yeah, it's great.
We do. Well, we'd love to have you come back and visit with us again. So feel free to book another session.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. It was nice seeing you. Take care.
You too. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye, Kristi.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was another fun show. She was a great guest.
Yeah, she's very approachable.
Yes, she is. And I love her presence. I love the way she carries herself. And she's obviously, she's very professional, very intelligent, and very good at what she does.
Yeah, I like that. We've had lots of different personalities and varieties in that vein, and really a wide spectrum of variety too. So
we sure have.
There's some matchmaker or coach for everybody.
Yeah, and Kristi's one of my favorites. She's really good. Yeah. Lisa, before we close out, how can people get in touch with you?
They could go check out presenceintelligence.com, and I am actually working on a specific offering strictly for daters. So that's soon. Yeah, the truth is, Presence Intelligence is a smart way to be for anybody, whether personally or professionally. But there are some specifics relevant to the dating realm that this will cover, and I'll keep you posted when it's ready.
So I'm frantically looking for your banner. What is the best way to contact you?
presenceintelligence.com. Or if they want, they can if they really want to have a conversation, we can talk about what they're looking for. Then talkwithcoachlisa.com will send you right to my calendar. You can make schedule it right there, and it's really easy. Click on the link, pick a date, and we'll chat.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm just going to close out the show, let people know what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So I'll see you backstage in just a moment.
Sounds good.
All right. Take care. Thank you, everybody, for being. Oops, I always do that, don't I? Wrong person.
It's my last hello.
Thank you so much for being here today. Tomorrow, these are the shows that we have. At 1:30, I have a story to tell, and we've got a singer who's joining us from Paris. Her name is Azaid Dobrolishti, Dobrolishti. So I know I didn't pronounce that right. My apologies. We also have stories of hope, inspiration, overcoming adversity. We have a 12-year-old CEO from Philadelphia. Her name is Michaela Linder, and she is a baker. We've had her on before. She's quite amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing what she's been doing since we interviewed her last. And then on the variety show with co-host Lori Mendelson, we have Taryn Sartler. And Taryn is also a coach. She's going to be joining us. So we look forward to having you with us tomorrow. Oh, we also have at 3:30 Pet Psychic Amina, and that is a lot of fun. We've got a lot of laughs, and she helps to channel energy, talking to pets and giving people the opportunity to understand why it's important to communicate with your pets and why it's important that you know how to talk to them and talk to your plants, which I think is really kind of cool. So before we close out, we have a new sponsor, and I just want to read a message from them before I play their sponsorship. So it's Ian Morris and Dana Cato, and they are listening to Smile. So this is the message that goes with their clip. Attention entrepreneurs and business owners. Many of us are moving our work to the online platforms. Do you understand copyright laws? Did you know that it's illegal and a violation of copyright law to play CDs, iPod, Spotify, Pandora, and other streaming services for your yoga classes, workshops, retreats, private sessions, and live events if you do not obtain proper music licensing? Performing rights organizations, PROs, such as BMI and ASCAP, consider any use of music in a public performance that you are required by law to obtain music licenses. Your personal subscription to these services does not give you proper permissions. So if you're out there and you're a business owner, maybe you have a restaurant, you have a bar, you have a hair salon, you have a physician's office, and you're playing music through your personal subscription to Apple or Spotify or Pandora, apparently this is a copyright violation. So let's play the clip from my sponsors and listening to music and hear what they have to say. Our viewers and listeners can get a special discount if you use the code RWDJ, Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, RWDJ, when you subscribe to their frequency-based mindfulness music. Here we go.
The music, services, and programs that we offer at Listening to Smile are based off of scientific studies and research, along with our own personal experiences and testimonials from our clients and our affiliates that we work with worldwide. My own personal journey began in around 2010, and I tried to find relief from a chronic illness that I was diagnosed with. And the traditional ways of healing, they tried to fit me in this box, and that didn't work for me for so many reasons. And this led me to a self-discovery that I never expected to be so life-changing. Healing is multifaceted. It requires us to really look at our whole selves and to get really honest about what we see. I started to see movement towards recovery when I started to integrate yoga into my life daily. When I started to incorporate the music into all aspects of my life, including my yoga practice, my healing completely accelerated, and listening to Smile's music helped me to open my consciousness. I was able to open my eyes to new perspectives and make changes that I needed to make in order to recover. The most noticeable difference that I saw right away, like immediately after listening to my first frequency track, was how much my anxiety stopped, completely stopped. There was such a relief. My mind was actually quiet for the first time in so many years. I felt safe. I felt this comfort and this peace immediately. I continued to listen daily, and I found that amazing things were happening inside of me. I felt calmer, I felt happier. I felt like I was in this little bubble of peace. Physically, I started to see the changes happening. I started to see the things happening in my body that needed to happen for me to heal from my illness. I felt empowered, I felt hopeful, and something that I hadn't felt in years. This is why we at Listening to Smile integrate yoga and Listening to Smile music together. We see such a huge benefit from integrating the music into other modalities of healing. It accelerates these modalities, it steps them up to another level because it works on the brainwave states and the neural pathways in the brain. This is something that is not very easy for us to do alone at home, but the Listening to Smile music makes that possible. This is where real change happens. This is where the body and the mind sync up and work towards health of the being as a whole. That is true health. And listening to smile frequency music will get you there.